So remember, the goal here for our assignment is to create 3 different dimensions and or web sizes to accommodate our work or our website to become responsive to your web browser on your desktop, your web browser on your mobile pad, like an iPad, and your web browser on your mobile cell phone. All right. So the key word here is responsive. So that means we want this thing to be to respond to all those various dimensions as best as they can. Okay. All right. Let me go over the bridge real quick. Let's get in the Photoshop. Go to bridge and just take a look at some of the concepts that we're talking about here. What I like to do is, here we go. I'm going to take a look at this here. We have your browser window, right? You got an iPad Pro, an Air, a Mini. Now, you could start designing your website to be responsive across a whole bunch of different dimensions. But for class, we're going to focus on 3. We just mentioned those 3. Your desktop, standard iPad, as well as your cell phone. And we're going to pick 3 different dimensions that I think will work well for most devices. So if you look here, your large iPads are 1366 by 959 pixels. Your Air, you got 1024 by 700 approximately, and the same thing for your mini iPad. All right, now if we go to your iPhone, we have even various options for your Retina, your 640, the iPhone 5, 6, and 6 Plus. These are various dimensions here. So I think what we'll do is we'll probably focus on more of the 600 and just and go with that. Remember, you're able to scroll vertically, so you might want to maximize it, your horizontal dimensions for 600, and that will ensure successful viewing on the higher sizes with no problems. Okay, so let's take a look at, here we go. All right, so here's some of the most common ways web designers will design their sites in terms of dimensions. Desktop, they can go anywhere from 1200 pixels in width to 1600. Now remember, all of our monitors today are high res. I mean, they can easily display 2048. We got 4K resolution now, so we can, display some pretty, large, dimensions there. However, we're going to make it accommodating for everybody in the world. So we're going to be designing for dimensions a little bit lower than what the current technology allows. So those numbers for desktop is 1200 to 1600. Those numbers for a cell phone can be either 4800 wide or 320 pixels wide. For your iPad, anywhere from 760 to 800. And then, of course, you have your lower numbers. We're going to, all of this we're going to kind of ignore, because if we design for 1200 here for your desktop, on your smaller laptops like your 15-inch and 13-inch, it'll display just fine on that. Okay, not going to have a problem. So, all right, let's go back and let's start creating something. So I'm gonna go back into Photoshop here, and let's work out now this website. Let me go ahead and show you the dimensions. To view your dimensions for any image or any of your files that you have open in Photoshop, you go to Image Menu, Image Size. Why are we going to the Image Menu? To display the size of the image here. So Image Size, and I've got 1200, so I made mine 1200. Now the height, remember we can scroll vertically all day long on the desktop, so I made it 1368, somewhere around there. That's reasonable. So that's going to work in general. All right, so I'm going by pixels. So over here, you may have inches selected by default. If you do, go to your drop list over to the right of your width and height. Make sure your width and height is connected or linked. You can unlink it by tapping on it, but we want it linked. So if I change one, the other one changes in proportion. So instead of inches, let's go over to, let's see, pixels. And there we go. And it matches what we have up here as well. Okay, so we'll click OK. Now, let's go create a brand new site, and File menu, New, and I'll keep the same dimensions that I have, 1366. So I'll do a custom here. So 1200 wide, and then height we'll keep it the same as the others, so I can show you exactly what I did. 1366. Okay, keep everything else default. The orientation is going to be a portrait here, but everything else stays by default, and target create, and you're going to get a blank. Remember, my background is black, so I'm going to add what's called an adjustment layer. So if I come down here to the bottom, this little black and white half circle, click it once, I'm going to target the solid color. And the color I want for this can be any color you want, right? You just choose the, keep in mind the color scheme that you chose, and choose the background that you want. I'm going to keep it black, and everything on top of that is going to be, placed on a background, on a black background. Now, I'm going to get my border image, or the header image. I want to start there, then go to my nav bar, and then bring in my links right down here in the bottom. So I will go into File menu, Browse and Bridge. Okay, takes me to Bridge, and I need to go find all those images. Now, what I did was I created on your desktop. I created on my desktop a folder called Zero Web Design. Let me kind of pull this down here. Zero Websites, and inside that website. And the reason I have 0 websites is because I do design for multiple people or clients. So each folder after that will be client for John, clients for Sally, client for such and such corporations or whatever. But each folder will be its own web design. Here is my original website that I currently have on the web. Here is the one I'm going to redesign for you guys that I'm going to call responsive. All right. And I made a folder inside this. So I recommend you guys make a folder, 0 websites, and then inside there, make a new folder, title it whatever you want, whatever the title of your website is going to be, name it that. I call it Chromalution Responsive in this case. I can change it later, anytime. And inside that folder, make images folder. So in Bridge, Bridge is going to allow you to make additional folders. So right click, and then inside a Bridge, new folder, and then make the new folder. Now I've already done so I'm not going to do it. So I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to just delete that one. Okay. All right, so there's my images folder. Now, inside my images folder, I put a bunch of images that's going to help me with this particular design here. Here are my the original large thumbnails images that I want to use for each of my galleries. Okay. All right, so let's go on and start to create. And then I have one more also. Let's grab a shape. I'm going to come over to my toolbar, right down here near the bottom, right above your magnifying glass. Now, once again, if you don't have all these tools listed here, what you're going to do is you can go to your 3 circles right down here. It's Edit Toolbar. Click it and hold. Edit the toolbar, come right over here and hit Restore Defaults on your top right hand corner here. Okay, that'll bring it back to looking exactly what you're seeing here. All right, I'm gonna go right above your magnifying glass on the left hand side. Make sure you're in a double layer toolbar mode here. Click and hold, drag it over to rectangle, and I'm going to make my rectangle medium gray in color. So I'm going to click on the foreground color, take my cursor and drag right over there, something like this. That's what I want. Now I want to make my header here. So the top section is going to represent my header. I'm going to click and drag it right across just like this. And what that's going to do is it's going to put a vector shape in that area. Okay. Now, once done, I want to make the navigational bar. So I'm going to create another one of these. So let's go ahead and I clicked enter on the keyboard, and now I'm going to do this again. But this time I'm going to change the color to something that is that I can use. So I'm going to make this a much darker gray, something about there. Okay, and I'm going to make a thinner nav bar to go right there. All right, now I think it gave it the same color. If it does that, then come up here to right here where my long nav bar is. Just double click right here in this icon. That'll bring up the panel so you can change the color. You can see it changing right away. Okay, now this is on top of my header, so I'm gonna double click this one, and I'm gonna call this one header. And I'm gonna drag this on top of the nav bar. So this is the header. I'm gonna click and hold this layer and just reposition it right up here. So I'm just clicking and dragging. As you can see, it highlights blue. That means that's where you need to drop it. I want this highlight blue at the top above this, and it dropped it. Now we're there. Now if I go down to the nav bar, I'm going to go double click this and call it nav bar, as we used to call it. I'm going to target my move tool, top left hand corner here, and this is how I move things around. So because the header is on top of the nav bar, it's going to go underneath the nav bar, all right? So it'll just overlap just a little bit. So this is going to represent my header. That's going to represent the nav bar. Down here is going to be the body. So we're going to work with the header first, okay? So let's go get an image and bring it on top of this. And we want that image to fit only within this, this header area. So I'm going to go to my File menu, Browse and Bridge. Here's the image I want. Okay, we're going to drag that on in there. So I'm going to just pull this off slightly so I can see Photoshop behind it. And then take my cursor, place it on top of this thumbnail, and drag it over and just place it right there. As you can see, Photoshop placed this as on a layer on top of the other two. That's fine. So I'm going to bring it on top. So that means it's going to overlay everything. Now you do have the ability to resize it. So I'm going to make it larger. In fact, I'm going to distort it a little bit. Holding the Shift key, I'm going to drag it on over and just kind of distort it to make it look a little something different here. Now what I like to do, I'm going to hit Enter on the keyboard to commit my changes. What I like to accomplish is to make sure that this image is going to fit inside this square piece. To do so, to accomplish that, I'm going to just make sure my image is on top of the area that I want it to merge with, which is this long slender rectangle. So target the image, take your Alt or Option key if you're on the Mac, Alt on the PC, Alt Option on the Mac, put my cursor in between, place it in between the two, and you'll see that little down arrow up here. Click it, and it will now be restricted just to that shape. So now I can just target the image here, go to my Move tool, and I can move this around. It'll never go beyond the borders of that image. Okay, so if I pull it up like so, or Command or Control T for free transform, I can grab the corners and kind of enlarge it, whatever, however you want to, organize your imagery. But this is a good workflow to do it. Okay, now my part of this is my logo. My logo is Chromolution, the text. Now keep in mind that all of this is representing the is basically representing the header here. So why not place everything in its own folder? So hold the Shift key, grab the last one here, which is all three of them. It's going to select everything between the first and the last one that I select that represents all this information that we see here. And if we hit Command or Control G, that turns into a group. Double click the word group, put it right on word group, and call this one header. and I misspelled it again. So we're going to double click it and just take off the E. Okay, there's my header. Okay, all right, now let's open up the header. See, I can now, it's all one group, which means if I target the group, everything moves as one piece. So that's a nice little organizational feature. I'm hitting Command or Control Z to make it go back for undo. All right, so now let's go put some navigational links up here. So we'll make another group. Come right down here to the bottom. Let's kind of pull this up a little bit so you can see this. And the third icon from the right is a folder symbol. That's your folder. Make a new folder. Double click the word group 1, I'm sorry, and call this one navigational links. Okay, so as long as we're highlighted in this folder, everything we do will be in here. Okay, now we're going to create navigational links, but we're also going to create our logo real quick. So I would like to have that logo to stay inside the header. So I'm going to target the header, drop it down, and maybe just tap on top of the image because we want the logo to go on top. I do want the foreground color to be red. I have red on the bottom, so I'm going to hit the X key on my keyboard to switch the foreground and background color. Hit the T key for text. That's going to be my text. Click and release. And the text I'm using is Agency FB. It's kind of a futuristic feel to it. And we're going to call this one Chrome Illusion. And I'm going to want all caps. I'm going to hit all caps. All right, there it is. Now, hit enter on the keyboard or hit the little check mark up here and that'll commit to text. And hit the V key for Victor, which gives me the move tool, which allows me to move this around. So I'm going to move it right about there. I want this a little bit larger. So what do? Command or Control what? T for free transform. And then it constrains it automatically. I can make it a little bit larger, and we're going to place it right down here. Now I want that text to stand out a little bit better than it is now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a layer effect. So if I go to the right hand side, now this is important, go to the right hand side of your text where it says Chrome Illusion, where it's blank over here, the blank part of your layer, double click it, and it's going to bring up your layer styles. And on the left hand side, what we're going to do is we're going to target a color overlay that is, let's see, so overlay, or I'm going to give it a color, an outer glow, right? I'm going to give it an outer glow right down here. That's going to allow that to stand out. Now, by default, you're getting a dark glow. And if let's get in a little closer. Let's hit Control plus, Control or Command plus allows you to zoom in more. I'm going to kind of, there we go. Let's pull this over to the side. Now, outer glow down here near the bottom. By default, you're getting this white with a screen blend mode. I'm going to change this to normal. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color to black. There. And I'm going to get that to spray. But first, let me show you how this works. Let me go to white so you can see how these controls work. Spread and sizing. Increase the sizing so it gets really soft, just like this. Increase the spread so it goes something more like that. All right, now you can see what, so play with these settings to get what you want, but I'm going to change this to black. See, that allows that text to stand out more. In addition, I'm going to give it stroke. Now right above here, top center is the word stroke. Click on the word, and my stroke is way too large, right? So we're going to bring this down to the size right over here on the right hand side. Bring the sizing down, and you have to click on the word stroke, not the checkbox, but the word to get this option. All right, I want to click OK, and Control minus zooms down. That works a little bit better now. So we got that darker overlay, which allows us to stand out more. And then we also gave it a light stroke, which really allows the logo to pop out. Okay, so that's basically how I did the banner there. And there is all under header, right? It's all under header. Now let's go place the navigational links in there. So, and if I remember correctly, I'm going to hit my F key. It's my 3 different modes for toggling between the 3 different full frame modes. So, if I remember correctly, and I'm going to, this is one of my original logos I was going to create, but I didn't like it very much, so I decided not to use it. We actually started this last week, and this is what I end up. So, just to share that with you guys, I'm going to close this out. I don't need it anymore. In fact, yeah, okay. So, we've got books and DVDs, workshops, 3D, the artist. This is how I did it. In the nav bar, just go to my navigational links, have it selected. I'm going to cascade up this header, and I'm going to start to use the text tool, T for text on the keyboard. I'm going to tap and release right there. I think what I like to do is change the color to white, so it's going to stand out against that gray background. Control plus, getting close, so we can see what we're doing. And I accidentally hit something, so I'm going to go back and do it again. There we go. And I think with books and DVDs, right? So we can go books, oops. Books, ampersand, DVDs. Okay, I think that works. So we move this down. Maybe a little smaller, but let's go ahead and commit those changes. Command T, maybe make it just a little smaller like that. Okay, and hit enter. And your links should be bold. They should be, easy to see, easy to click on. Hit the V key. Now watch, the V key is selected, right? Now I want another one. I got books and DVDs, and let's go take a look real quick. And we've got workshops in 3D next. This is what we're gonna do. Here's a trick. Make sure your move tool is selected. Let's get in closer. With the move tool selected, hold down Alt or Option. That's going to give you the double arrow option there to duplicate it. If you hold down the Shift key, it's going to constrain it to one direction. So Alt and Shift held down. If I click and drag it, look, it duplicates it, and I get that smart guides, those magenta smart guide symbol, which duplicates it, and it shows me that we are aligned with the 3 little guides, showing you that you're aligned top, middle, and the bottom. And release your mouse. Go rename this one. And I forgot the name of what's supposed to do here. Workshops in 3D. So rename this one Workshops. Alright, you can click this little checkbox to commit your changes. Now we want to make 3D. Same thing, Alt and Shift. Move that one over just like this. See the smart guides are, and then as I drag it to the right, see that little symbol? I was telling you now it's perfectly spaced. 17 inches, 0.117 and 0.117. Release your cursor, double click on the node here, or the icon here for your text. Go to 3 and then D. I want that a capital 3D. Commit my changes. Alright, so you see where we're going here. I accidentally turned that to 3D. I didn't mean to do that one. There we go. So I committed my changes. You see what's happening here? Nice, isn't it? So if the next thing I want is the artist, I just go stay in my 3D text layer, Alt and Shift. Get it right there. It's 117. See those numbers pop up there. Now you're perfectly spaced right there. Double click it. All right. So we're going to have, and there I go. I'm talking and forgetting, but the artist. So double click it again. We're going to go the artist. which is going to be information about me, and so forth. Okay, so now target the navigational bar. I'm going to pull this back and hold the shift key, and it allows me to pull these over like this. And we have one more, right? So, and it's contact us. So we go to the artist, and let's just go to the folder again. I want to move this over a little bit more. Okay. Getting closer. On the artist, Alt Shift. See what I did? I duplicated the whole folder because I wasn't paying attention. All right. Undo. I want to make sure I target the layer only the artist layer. Alt Shift, bring it on over. Get to that. Wait till all of the see all the magenta boxes pop up. That means you're perfectly aligned. I think that's nice. Okay. All right, and then we always come back to take a look and see, match what we have here. I'm going to go contact us. Click on the T icon. Okay, done. My links are probably a little bit too large in my opinion. They're starting to conflict with the logo on the image. So that gives me the opportunity to click on the folder. Command or Control T for free transform, and just bring them a little smaller. Yeah, so they're more like this. And they're still easy to see and easy to click on. All right, is that making sense? All right, now for these areas right in here, the gallery 1, 2, 3. What I did was I did the same thing with those that I did with the text. All right, so I'm going to go and create the body next. So there is my header. Now down here is my background, right? This little black here. I'm turning it off and on. I can delete this one that says background. I don't need to have it. I'm going to click and hold, drag it onto the garbage can symbol, or hit delete key on my keyboard. And I can, while that layer is selected, Command or Control G. All right, now that's going to be inside a group. Double click the word group, call it background. It's that easy. Okay, so there is my background. Above my background, I want to create the body, right? So I'm gonna make sure the background is targeted. Target the folder here. I made a new folder. It's called Group 1 by default. Double click it. All right, and we're going to call this one the body. Inside the body, we're going to make a large thumbnail. So come right over here, right above your magnifying glass icon. Click and hold. Grab the rounded rectangle tool. Once selected, hold the Shift key to constrain it to a perfect square. Make whatever size. I want to make it a size approximately here. All right, so my rectangle is red. That's fine. It doesn't matter what color it is. Hit the V key for the move tool. Right, I'm going to place a rectangle here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this one. Alt and Shift. Drag this and approximate where I want that to be. There. Do it again. Drag Alt and Shift and watch the two right there. Do it again. And there. Okay. So in the body group, I'm going to target the body group. I can move this over as 1. I'm going to move it down a little bit because I intend to put give it a little space from the top. Now, if we're going to put images in here, this is how we're going to accomplish this. Now, if you take a look at this on your layers, it looks like the top one is at the bottom. So I'm going to just kind of reverse them here. So first, second, third. Oop, that's second. All right, third and fourth. Okay, right there. Now inside the bottom, I want to make this. I want to call this one probably links 1. So I'm going to grab all of these, make a new group, Command or Control G, and we're going to call these. Actually, what did I call mine originally? I'm going from memory here. So if we go inside our body, we call them thumbnail gallery 1 and 2. All right. So we'll keep the same nomenclature. So double click at group 1. Thumbnail gallery 1. Okay. So now that we have that, we're going to duplicate this. I want one more thumbnail gallery, right? So here, Command or Control J will duplicate the whole gallery. This is going to be thumbnail gallery 2. Here, I'll just drag it underneath the other one. I want to keep it inside. Oops, I dragged too far out there. There we go. Doesn't matter. We'll just grab this one, call this one 1. Or I want to go back, call that one 1, and then call this one thumbnail gallery number 2. Okay, now go to number 2, hold the shift key, and drag them down just like this. Okay. Now I want to put some text underneath here. So I'm going to bring it, give it a little space. Okay, so I did the exact same thing in terms of duplicating these that I did for the text up here on the navigational bar. Now let's add images. I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did with the other shape that I placed the image on. I'm going to make it a clipping path. So if I go to File menu, Browse and Bridge, here's Bridge, and if I come down here and say, okay, gallery number 1 is actually this one right there, because I have them numbered, gallery 1, gallery 2, and so forth. So gallery 1 is going to go inside thumbnail gallery 1. So I'm going to open it up so I can see it. All right, then I'm going to go back to Image, Browse and Bridge. It pops it up right above Photoshop. And if you have a dual monitor, you just simply drag it from the other monitor. So now it's really big, right? Super, super, super big. Well, when you drag them in, they have a transform symbol around them. If they don't, hit Command or Control T for free transform. Make them small, about the size of the thumbnail immediately. I'm going to make them overlap the thumbnail just like so. Okay, now if you look at my thumbnail, it accidentally popped up here out of the thumbnail gallery. Well, I'm going to just click and hold on it and drag it right above that first thumbnail here. So if I turn this off with the eyeball there, I'm right above this one, and I'm going to turn this one on there. Okay, so I'm right above it. Now I'm going to make it a clipping path. Remember, Alt or Option, put the mouse in between, get that little down arrow, square with the down arrow symbol, and tap, click and release, and now it's restricted just on that thumbnail. And you're going to do the same thing for every single one of these to set up your websites. Now I'm assuming many of you are probably going to have thumbnails, image thumbnails like this. Some of your thumbnails won't be my size. Some will be large. Maybe you have like a total of 4 or maybe 3, like 2 at the top and one big large one at the bottom. Everybody's website is going to be different. So this is basically how I did it. And then the text underneath here is exactly the same thing I did with the text in the nav bar, no different. So at this point, you should have the skill sets to complete your page.